events in which the reconstitution can take place. One is when the partners decide to change their profit sharing ratio. Fine. Suppose they were earlier sharing the profit and losses equally. Now, due to any of the reasons, they want to change the profit sharing ratio. They all mutually agree to change their profit sharing ratio to 2:2:1. So in that case, also there is a reconstitution of the firm. Second case, when the reconstitution can take place, is admission of a new partner. A new partner is admitted to the firm. A and B were partners. C was admitted to their firm. So in that case also, reconstitution has taken place. A new agreement has come into existence. Similarly, suppose there are three partners in a firm, A, B, and C retires from the firm. So in that case also, A and B are left. So their agreement is definitely going to change. Or C has died. In that case also, agreement is going to change and reconstitution is going to take place. All these four types of reconstitutions are there in your course. And the last type of reconstitution, that is amalgamation of two or more partnership firms. Amalgamation means when two or more firms join their business. Fine, this is not there in your course. So only four types of reconstitutions are there, but you should know the fifth case, that when does the reconstitution take place. Fine. So what exactly happens when reconstitution take place? Suppose on 31st March, this is the balance sheet of the firm. Fine. So in the normal course, what we do, this is my closing balance sheet as well as my opening balance sheet on 1st of April 2019. But suppose on 31st March 2019, reconstitution of the firm take place due to any of the reasons, whether a new partner D is admitted, or they change their profit sharing ratio, or C retires from the firm. This balance sheet will not be carried as it is on 1st of April. This will not be the opening balance sheet of the next accounting year. There are going to be changes in this balance sheet as per the terms of the reconstitution and the accounting treatments that are required to be made at the time of reconstitution. So these are the accounting treatments that are to be done at the time of reconstitution, that is at the end of 31st March 2019. Fine. So these are the 5 accounting treatments to be done in each and every type of reconstitution. First is calculation of change in profit sharing ratio and determination of gaining and sacrificing ratio. I explained you that every time the reconstitution is taking place, profit sharing ratio is changing and one or the more partner is gaining and the other partners are sacrificing. Fine. And the second treatment that we have to do is for the goodwill. Now this firm, which has its balance sheet on 31st March 2019, suppose this firm was established in the year 2000. So over the period of 19 years, this firm must have earned a reputation in the market. Fine. So that reputation built by the firm over the years is goodwill. And at the time of reconstitution, we have to value the goodwill of the firm and have to do the accounting treatment of that goodwill. Similarly, you can see there are reserves in this balance sheet. We have studied in class 11th that reserves are the appropriations out of profits. Fine. So these reserves are also appearing in the balance sheet. We have to do if they are not utilized till the date of reconstitution. So these reserves have also to be treated on the date of reconstitution. And then the assets and liabilities have to be revalued. We have studied historical cost concept. All the assets and liabilities are appearing at historical cost in this balance sheet. But on the date of reconstitution, we have to bring these assets and liabilities to their market value. Otherwise, if for the running firm, we don't bring the value of the assets to market value as we are following historical cost concept. But at the time of reconstitution, we have to bring these assets and liabilities to the market value. Reasons and how we do the revaluation, we will learn in the later stage. And the last is adjustment of capital. These capital balances, if the reconstitution is not taking place, these capital balances will be carried forward as it is to the next year. But when the reconstitution take place, these capital balances will also change. Fine. So these are the 5 accounting treatments that we have to do in each and every type of reconstitution. Change in PSR and gaining and sacrificing ratio, accounting treatment of the goodwill, then reserves, accumulated profit and losses, and revaluation of assets and liabilities, adjustment of capital. It can be, in your course, it can be there or it cannot be there. It's from the question point of view that adjustment of capital might be given or might not be given to you. This I explained to you last time, that suppose this is the whole profit. I have divided this profit into 8 parts, as the profit sharing ratio is 3:3:2. So 3 parts of this total is being shared by A, and remaining 3 by B, and the rest 2 are shared by A. Now suppose they change their profit sharing ratio. Fine. Now A says that he does not require. I just compared this profit with the pizza. So if the pizza has 8 pieces, A is getting 3, B is getting 3, and C is getting the remaining 2 pieces. And now A says that I am not hungry. I don't want 3 portion. I want this portion to be given to C. So what will happen? The profit sharing ratio will change. Now their sharing ratio of this pizza will be 2:3:3. So what has happened? A has sacrificed one portion of his share in favor of C. Similarly, if a new partners join, and A and B sacrifice their one portion each in favor of the new partner, then what will happen? Each partner will get 2 portion each. C was already getting 2. A sacrificed one portion of his in favor of D. B also sacrificed one portion of his in favor of D. So D will be getting 2 share. A will also be getting 2 shares. B will also be getting. So each and every partner will be getting 2 shares in the total profits, or in that pizza we are assuming. Fine. So profit sharing ratio is going to change, and some partners are going to gain. In this case, new partner has gained 2 share, and A and B has sacrificed one portion each. Fine. So we have to calculate. We will be given the ratio, old ratio, and some information. We will have to find out the gaining and the sacrificing ratio. This is just to explain you the concept of how one is gaining and the other is sacrificing. Now, goodwill has to be, you have to learn the valuation of goodwill, how the goodwill has to be valued, and what is the accounting treatment of goodwill. Now, the valuation is same for all the types of reconstitutions. Whatever may be the case of reconstitution, valuation, method of valuation will be the same. It will be the accounting treatment that will be changing in each and every type of reconstitution. That is why in all the books, the valuation chapter is given just after fundamentals, because the valuation method is common to all the types of reconstitution. So let us first understand what is goodwill. We have studied in class 11 that goodwill is an intangible asset. When we learn about intangible assets, we give an example that goodwill is an intangible asset. But what exactly is the goodwill? Goodwill is the ability of the firm to earn higher profits over and above the normal profits. Suppose A, B, and C are three persons in the same business. A and B are able to earn a profit of 50,000 in a month, but C is able to earn a profit of 70,000 with the same resources, with the same amount of capital employed, C is able to earn higher profits. So if it is his ability, this ability of the C to earn higher profits over and above A and B is his goodwill. Fine. So this is over and above the normal profits. Normal profit means what others are earning in that industry. What is the normal profits in that industry or the same line of business. So nature of the goodwill is it is an intangible asset. We already know this, but one thing you have to make it clear is that fictitious assets are different from intangible asset. Just a recall of what we have done in class 11th. Don't get confused. It is not a goodwill is not a fictitious asset. It is an intangible asset. Fictitious assets are those assets which are neither tangible nor intangible. Example is P&L account debit balance and deferred revenue expenditure. So goodwill is an intangible asset, not a fictitious asset. Now, we classify the goodwill into two types. One is purchased goodwill and another is self-generated goodwill. Now, what is purchased goodwill? Let's first discuss self-generated goodwill. Now, I have given you the case that C is able to earn a higher profit of 20,000 over and above A and B. Now, this is because of his hard work or the efforts put in by him that he's able to generate that 20,000 extra profit. So that 20,000 extra profit is because of his self-generated goodwill. Now, if C sells his business to someone else, then that person is buying his goodwill. He will be able, if suppose I buy C's business, so I will be buying the goodwill of C and I'll be able to earn that higher profit that C was earning. So that is purchased goodwill. And whenever we purchase a running business, we pay the price for the goodwill also. Suppose, let me give you an example here. Suppose I buy a running business which has an assets of 10 lakhs and liabilities of 3 lakhs. So what is the net worth of the business? Net worth of the business is 10 lakhs minus 3 lakhs, that is 7 lakhs. So I should have purchased this business for 7 lakhs. But I am buying it for 8 lakhs. That means 1 lakh extra that I am paying for buying the business is for the goodwill of the business. Fine. So that 1 lakh extra paid by me is the purchase, that is for the purchased goodwill. Fine. Unto the goodwill, intangible accounting standard 26 that deals with intangible asset is applicable. So goodwill should be recognized in the books of account unless consideration is paid for it. That means only purchased goodwill is to be recorded in the books of account. Self-generated goodwill is not to be recorded in the books of account. Like in this case, I've shown you the balance sheet. This firm might be having a very good goodwill. Fine. This firm is existing from the year 2000. Fine. So this firm has a goodwill, but this will not be appearing. This goodwill, the goodwill of the firm will not be appearing in the balance sheet. But if some other person buys this firm, fine. If some other firm buy this firm and purchase the goodwill of this firm, then in that balance sheet, purchase goodwill will be reflected. So accounting standard 26 says that it has to be only the purchased goodwill has to be shown in the books of account. Self-generated goodwill is not to be shown in the books of accounts. So what are the factors affecting the value of the goodwill? One is nature of the business. Sometimes the nature of the products that you're dealing are high value added products, so you earn higher profits in that case. Second is location. Your business is located at such a place that the footfall of the customers is more. That also adds to when the customers are more, your sales are obviously more, and you're going to earn higher profits. And the third factor, the one and the most important factor, is efficiency of the management. If the management is efficient, that will definitely help you in earning higher profits, because they will reduce the cost, or they will be able to do higher sales. And the next factor that can affect the goodwill is market situation. If you have a monopoly or a limited competition, if your business is located at such a place that you are the only one operating in that market, then obviously your profits are going to be higher. Or when the competition is less, fine, in that case also you are going to earn higher amount of profits. Then there are some certain advantages also that are required by the firm, like the firm has an import license or a long-term contract for the supply of raw material, or low rate and a short supply of electricity, patents and trademarks they have. So in that all these cases, the firms will have a higher profit. There can be other reasons or the other factors also. Suppose you have a good quality product, then also your profits are going to be higher. Or you provide good after sale services to your customers, in that case also your profits are going to be higher. And when the profits are higher, your firm is going to have a goodwill. So these are the factors affecting the goodwill: nature of business, location, efficiency of management, market situation, special advantages, and in many more factors can be there. Like I discussed, the quality of the product, or the after sale services provided by the firm. Now, why there is a need for valuation of a goodwill? Need for valuation arises only at the time of reconstitution. These are all the 5 cases of reconstitution. Plus, if a partnership is getting converted into a company also, in that case also, this is not reconstitution, but the valuation will be required at this stage also. So valuation for our course content, we learn to do valuation of a goodwill from the reconstitution, from all these 3 cases point of view, that is change in PSR, admission and retirement. So need arises in all these 6 cases, and we are going to learn how the goodwill is to be valued. So children, one more thing I want to say, that we are valuing the self-generated goodwill, and that goodwill will not be recorded in the books of account, because in the reconstitution, the firm is not being sold. So this is the goodwill. Purchase of the goodwill is not taking place. It is only at the time of reconstitution we are valuing the self-generated goodwill. We are going to do the accounting treatment of the goodwill, but we are not going to record the self-generated goodwill in the books of accounts, because accounting standard 26 is applicable, which says that self-generated goodwill is not to be recorded. We are just going to value the self-generated goodwill and going to do the accounting treatment of that. Fine. The goodwill can be valued by any of these 5 methods. One is average profit method, and we divide this method into 2. One is simple average and another is weighted average profit method. And then super profit method. Third is capitalization method. Capitalization method has again been divided into average profit and super profit. Now, goodwill can be valued by any of the above methods, and it will be mentioned in the partnership deed. And if it is not mentioned, as agreed by the partners, the goodwill can be valued by any of the method. So we say that value of the goodwill is subjective. If I do the valuation by simple average profit method, my valuation will be different from if I follow capitalization of average profit method. So value of the goodwill that I'll be getting will be different in all these methods. So we have to follow only one method. The firm has to follow only one method, and the method will be given either in the partnership deed or as agreed by the partners. Let us take all these methods one by one. Now, one is simple average profit method. By this method, goodwill is equal to average profit. Average profit is easy to calculate, into number of years of purchase. You have to understand the meaning of number of years of purchase. That means number of years for which the firm will be able to earn the same amount of profits after the change of ownership because the efforts put in the past. Suppose I am earning a higher profit, the example, or I can take the example that I took just before, that A, B, and C were different persons running different business, but C was able to earn a higher profit of 20,000 than A and B. So if someone buys C's business, for how many years he will be able to earn that extra 20,000 profit without putting in any extra efforts? That is number of years of purchase. Fine. This also has to be calculated, but you will be given number of years of purchase. Those who value the goodwill, they calculate, the valuers of the goodwill calculate this number of, or estimate this number of years of purchase, but you will be given number of years of purchase in the question. But it means for how many years you will be able to earn that extra profits because of the goodwill without putting any extra effort. So goodwill in this case is equal to average profit into number of years of purchase. In simple average profit, we are just calculating the simple average of the profits earned in the past. And in weighted average profit, the formula is same, weighted average into number of years of purchase. But the difference is, I am instead of simple average, I am finding out the weighted average of the previous year profits. And the profits here means future maintainable profits. Profits after removing the effects of any abnormal items that has incurred in the past. Suppose I had a destruction of stock by fire in the past. That is an abnormal item. So I will have to remove the effect of any abnormal item, or a non-recurring item, any item that is not going to happen again. Fine. So that is basically, we are removing the effects of non-operating items. That can be any abnormal item like loss of stock by fire, or any non-recurring item. Suppose I had to pay a workman compensation claim to any worker. Fine. And if any expense that has not happened in the past but is going to happen in the future, for that effect also has to be taken into account while calculating the profits. This point will be more clear with the help of illustrations I'm going to show you. So you have to learn the formula. Goodwill is equal to average profit into number of years of purchase. You also have to know the meaning of number of years of purchase, though it will be given in the question, but you should know the meaning. What is the meaning of number of years of purchase? And then what are future maintainable profits? Let's read this illustration 9. You are given years, you are given the profits for the year 2013, 14, 15, and 16 and 17. You have to value. The method of valuation will be given to you in the question, and the number of years of purchase will also be given to you. So calculate goodwill of the firm on the basis of 4 years purchase of 5 years average profits. 4 years purchase is number of years of purchase, and I have to find out the average profit of the last 5 years. Average is simple to calculate. So total number of years divided by 5, this comes out to be the average profit, and average profit multiplied by number of years of purchase is the value of the goodwill. In this case, there was no adjustment given. And this is how you calculate the weighted average. You must have learned how to calculate the weighted average in statistics last year. Fine, you are given the profits. The weights to be assigned are given to you. You have to assign the weights 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the previous year profits. And then you found out the product. So your weighted average will be equal to this product, total of the product divided by total weight, that is 15. This weighted average profit is applied when there is an increasing or a decreasing trend of profits. Fine. So we assign higher weights to the later year's profit and a lesser weight to the previous year's profit. So I assigned the weights to the different years and then found out the weighted average, and goodwill is equal to weighted average into number of years of purchase. Fine. The only difference is in the calculation of average. Formula is same, average into number of years of purchase. So you will be given whether you have to find out the average by simple method or weighted average method. Let us take an illustration where the adjustments are to be made, where we have to find out the future maintainable profit. Yes, you have been given the profits for the last 4 years, 2012, 13, 14, and 15, and the weights assigned to each year. So that means weights are given. That means you have to find out weighted average profit, but you have been given additional information. On September 1, 2014, on September 1, 2014, a major plant repair was undertaken for 6,000, which was charged to revenue. So there was a mistake in the calculation of the profit for the year ended 2014. Fine. So we have to rectify that mistake. An expenditure, a major repair was undertaken for rupees 6,000 and was charged to revenue. That means capital expenditure has been considered as revenue expenditure. So we have to rectify the mistakes also to calculate the future maintainable profits. The said sum is to be capitalized for goodwill calculation, subject to adjustment of depreciation of 10%. If I have to treat this revenue expenditure as capital, then I also have to charge depreciation at the rate of 10% per annum on that capital expenditure. And the second mistake that has been committed is closing stock has been overvalued by 2,400. Now, this closing stock, which has been overvalued in the year 2013, is the opening stock of next year. So it will have double effect, one in the year 2013 and another in the year 2014. Fine. To cover the management cost, an annual charge of 4,800 should be made for the purpose of goodwill valuation. So this annual charge, which we have not been incurring in the past, has to be incurred in the future. Fine. So I have to make adjustment for all these three to find out the correct profits before finding out the average. Correct future maintainable profits. We call the profits as future maintainable profits because the profits that will be able to maintain in the future. Fine. So these are the profits given to you for the 4 years. First of all, we have deducted management costs because this is going to happen every year in the future. This is going to happen. So from all the profits of the last year, I have deducted 4,800. Fine. Then in the year 2014, there was a repair cost, major repair, a capital expenditure has been treated as revenue. So if I have to rectify this mistake, what should be the journal entry? Your entry should have been the plant account debited to cash, but you have done the entry repairs to cash. So how will you rectify it now? You will debit plant account and credit repairs. So repairs which has been charged, which has been debited to P&L account and has reduced the profit, now it will be added back. Now this 6,000 will be added back to the profits, because this is not your revenue expenditure. A correct amount has not been deducted from the profit and loss account. But since this 6,000 is a capital expenditure, this 6,000 is your asset. This is your asset. This, what I have done, what rectifying entry I have passed? Plant account to repairs. Repairs I have deducted from P&L, but plant account, on plant I am going to charge a depreciation of 10% per annum. Fine. So this 200 I have deducted as depreciation in the year 2014. But since this expenditure was incurred on September 1, so I have calculated the proportionate amount of depreciation. So I have calculated the proportionate amount of depreciation. But in the next year, we are going to charge the full amount of depreciation as we are given. We are following reducing balance method. So 6,000 minus 200, 5,800 is the book value. So next year, I'm going to charge 580 as the depreciation. Fine. Now, stock has also been overvalued in the year 2013. If my closing stock is overvalued, that means my profit was higher. Try to recall the formatting account. Closing stock is shown on the credit side of the trading account. If I'm showing the closing stock at a higher value, my profits are higher. Fine. So as there was a mistake in the valuation of closing stock, so I have to reduce now the value of profits. But this closing stock, this overvalued closing stock, has become the opening stock of the year 2014. And when opening stock is overvalued, that decreases your profits. Fine. So if I bring the stock to the original value, then it will reduce the profit of the year 2000. I have to reduce the profits for the year 2013 and increase the profits for the year 2014. So this overvaluation will have two effects. One on the profits of 2013 and another on the profits of 2014. Similarly, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure which has been taken revenue, will also have two effects. One, it will reduce the profit. It will increase the profit in the 2014, but it will have an effect of depreciation in 2 years. So after making the above adjustments, we have finded out the adjusted profit, and this adjusted profit, I can also call it future maintainable profit. I'll assign given weights to these profit, and then find out the weighted average profit and the value of goodwill. Whereas the calculation of average profit or a weighted average profit and calculation of goodwill will remain the same. Only when you're given the adjustment, you have to first make the adjustments in the profits of any previous year, any previous error or previous non-recurring item that has happened. We have to first make adjustments in the previous year profits and then find out the weighted average or the simple average and then find out the value of the goodwill. So for average profit method, we have two methods, simple average and weighted average. The only difference is in the calculation of average. One is simple and another is weighted. But profits means future maintainable profits. We have to make adjustments for the abnormal items, non-recurring items, or any future expense or any error that has been incurred in the past. Now, another method of valuation is super profit method. Now, what is super profit? Here we have to understand what is super profit. Super profit is what you're earning over and above the normal profits. Like I took the example, A and B were earning the profit of 50,000. C was able to earn profit of 70,000. As A and B were earning the same profits. So that were normal profits. That is the normal rate of profit. And the 20,000 that C is able to earn is super profit. That is over and above the normal profits. So goodwill by super profit method is equal to super profit into number of years of purchase, and super profit is equal to actual average profits minus normal profit. Now the C's average profit was 70,000 and normal profit of that industry was 50,000. We took A and B as the industry norms. So normal profit earned is 50,000. So super profit comes out to 20,000. Fine. And this is how we calculate the normal profits. That was just an example of A, B, and C. But in actual practice, we calculate normal profits like this. Average capital employed into normal rate of return. This is the normal rate of return of the industry or the same line of operation. Suppose there is a cloth industry. So this will be the normal rate of return of that cloth business. Those who are carrying on the cloth business, their normal rate of return will be fixed by the industry. Suppose anyone who does the cloth business earn a normal profit of 10%. Fine. Suppose I start a business with a capital of 10 lakhs. So what is going to be my normal rate of return is 10% of 10 lakhs. Fine. That is 1 lakh rupees. That will be the normal profit that I should expect that I'll be able to earn by investing this much amount. But if I am able to earn more than that, that is my super profit. That is my super profit. So capital employed, you have to keep in mind this also. Capital employed is the money invested in the business. So this is capital plus reserve minus any fictitious assets minus non-trade investments minus goodwill. If the goodwill is given in the balance sheet, we deduct the value of goodwill also to calculate the capital employed. Fine. All assets except goodwill, if I have to calculate from the liability side of the balance sheet, then capital employed is equal to capital plus reserves minus fictitious assets minus non-trade investments. Fine. There are two types of investments in a business. Now in class 12th, till now we have been learning that investments can be current investments or a non-current investments. But now we have to understand the difference between trade investments and non-trade investments. Suppose I have a surplus money in my business. So what I do, I invest that in fixed deposits of the bank. So that is my non-trade investments. This is my non-trade investment. This is not going to help me in the business that I am carrying on. I was having the extra fund with me. I invested in the fixed deposit or in the shares of some other company. So that is a non-trade investment. But suppose I invested an amount in a firm, in another company or in another firm to have a holding in that firm. Suppose I'm buying a raw material from the firm X and I invested amount in that firm to have a hold, to have a say in that firm because that firm is supplying me the raw material. So that is my trade investments. I am buying those investments to enhance my trade by a regular flow of raw material from that firm. So that is trade investments. So all the non-trade investments, usually we are given investments and we assume that investments to be non-trade investment unless and other specified that the investments are trade investments, you are going to take all the investments as non-trade investments. Fine. So you have to deduct all these non-trade investments and goodwill from the value of capital and reserves. Fine. Similarly, you don't have to take the value of non-trade investments and fictitious assets in all the assets. If the concept of non-trade investment is not clear, this will be more clear as and when we'll be doing the question and as and when we'll be doing the chapter analysis of financial statements. These terms will be more clear as these are new right now. You might get anxious that these terms are not clear, non-trade investments and how we are finding out the capital employed. By the time we'll proceed with the syllabus, these terms will become more clear. Fine. So till this point, you have to just be clear about what is super profit. Super profit is actual average profit minus normal profit. That is what you are able to earn over and above the normal profit is your super profit. Let's take an example how you calculate the goodwill by super profit method. You're given the past 5 years profit here, 40, 50, 55 and 70 and 85. You're required to find out the value of the goodwill based on 3 years purchase. Now, number of years of purchase is 3 and that is given to you. Fine. And normal rate of return is 10%. So I have to find out first the actual average profit earned by the firm. Actual average profit earned by the firm is simple. I have been given 5 years profit. I'm calculating the 5 years average that comes out to 60,000. And the normal rate of return in this industry is 10%. Capital employed is given to you 5 lakhs. So their normal profit is 10% of 5 lakh. That comes out to 50,000. In most of the cases, capital employed is given to you. In 1 or 2 questions in the textbook, the capital employed is not given to you. You have to find out the capital employed by the formula that I have given. Fine. So in most of the cases, capital employed is given to us. So we have found out the normal profit. Now you can note down one point here that super profit is equal to actual average profit minus normal profit. In case this, in any of the questions, if this actual average profit comes out to be less than the normal profit, then what will happen? Your super profit is going to be negative. In that case, you will have no goodwill. Goodwill only is there only when you are able to earn higher profits than the normal profits. If your actual profits are less than the normal profits, then in that case, there is no goodwill. Or when the super profits are negative, then there is no goodwill. This can be a higher order thinking skill question that when you're earning lesser profit than the normal profits, then you should not calculate the value of the goodwill. In that case, the value of the goodwill will be 0. Yes, capital firm of Anu and Benu is 1 lakh. Capital of the firm is 1 lakh and the market rate of return is 15%. That means normal rate of return is 15,000. That means if anyone invests rupees 1 lakh in that business, he'll be able to easily earn a return of 15%. Fine. An annual salary to the partner is 6,000 each. That means total salary comes out to 12,000. That means if a partner is getting a salary of 12,000 and we are able to earn an interest of 15,000, so normal rate of return for the firm, total return is 27,000. Total profits earned by the firm is 27,000. And the average profit of the last 3 years we will calculate. This is the actual profit earned by the firm this is the actual profit earned. Sorry, this is the normal profit expected from the firm. That is interest on capital plus salary. That is 27 11,000, and actual profit earned by the firm is given 30, 36, and 42. We will calculate the average of these three profits. Fine. So my super profit is average profit minus normal profit, that is 36 minus 27, and goodwill is equal to super profit into number of years of purchase. Goodwill is equal to super profit into number of years of purchase. So this is how we calculate the goodwill by super profit method. Now the next is capitalization method. Under capitalization method, we have two methods: capitalization of average profit and capitalization of super profit. I'm taking capitalization of super profit first. In this, we have to calculate first the capital employed, then normal profit, and then calculate super profit. Calculation of super profit is same as we have done in the super profit method. Fine. The only difference is in the previous method, goodwill is equal to super profit into number of years of purchase. If I have to calculate the goodwill by super profit method, then my formula is goodwill is equal to super profit into number of years of purchase. But if I have to find out the goodwill by capitalization of super profit method, then goodwill is equal to super profit into 100 divided by normal rate of return. So difference is there in the formula, but there is no difference in the calculation of super profit. Super profit will be calculated the same way. First, we'll calculate the normal profit and then the average profit, and super profit is equal to average profit minus normal profit. And the point in this case also, if the super profit is negative or your average profits are less than the normal profits, then the goodwill is not going to be there. Goodwill is going to be 0. And if the super profits are there, then goodwill is equal to super profits into 100 divided by normal rate of return. Basically, it is super profits upon normal rate of return. As the return was in percentage, so 100 has been, so the numerator has been multiplied by 100. So this is simple. The only thing you have to learn the formula. There is a difference in the formula of goodwill by super profit method and by capitalization of super profit method. Now come to the capitalization of average profit. Here goodwill is equal to capitalized value of the firm minus net assets. Fine. So goodwill, for that we have to first find out the average normal profits. Fine. What is the average normal profit? Suppose the normal rate of return is 10%. Fine. And I am employing a capital of, and the normal profits of that and I am able to earn a profit of 50,000. So how much should be the capital employed? Fine. How much should be the capital employed that I am able to earn a profit of normal? Capitalized value of the firm means that how much should be the capital employed in the business that I am able to earn a profit of 50,000, given 50,000. And then I'll find out the actual capital employed by the firm. Fine. This is calculation of net assets, or this is also equal to capital employed. All assets at your current value except goodwill, non-trade investments and fictitious assets minus outside liabilities. So what should be the capitalized value? How much capital should be invested to earn a normal rate of return of 10%? This is the capitalized value of the firm minus, and how much is the actual capital employed? That is net assets in the business. So if I am working, suppose I require to earn a profit of 50,000, I require a capital of 5 lakhs. Fine. But I am earning that profit with a capital of 4 lakhs. So this is my goodwill. I am able to earn the same amount of profit that others are earning with a lesser amount of capital. So this is how the goodwill is calculated under capitalization method. We first find out the capitalized value of the firm. That means to earn the current average profit by the normal rate of return. Suppose I'm earning a profit of 50,000 and normal rate of return is 10%. Then how much should be the capital invested in that business that I am able to earn that much profit? Fine. And then I have to calculate the actual capital employed, actual net assets of the firm, and goodwill is equal to capitalized value minus net assets. In this case also, your actual capital employed should be less than the capitalized value of the firm. If it is greater, then the goodwill is going to be 0. Let me show you how the goodwill is calculated by capitalization of average profit and capitalization of super profit. Super profit is simple. See, a business has earned average profit of 1 lakh during the last few years, and the normal rate of return in the similar business is 10%. That means how much should be the capital employed in this business? That if I earn profit at the rate of 10%, I am able to earn a profit of 1 lakh. So capitalized value of the firm is equal to actual profit divided by normal rate of return. That means the capital employed in the business should be 10 lakhs. Capital employed in the business should be 10 lakhs, so that if I am able to earn a profit at the rate of 10%, I am able to get a profit of 1 lakh. Fine. But the net asset is 8 lakh 20,000. That means the actual capital employed in the business is 8 lakh 20,000. I should have invested 10 lakh to earn a profit of 1 lakh, but I have invested only 8 lakh 20,000. So I am able to earn the same amount of profit that others are earning in that industry. That is 10% with a lesser amount of capital. So this is my goodwill. This is my efficiency of the management, that with a lesser amount of capital, I am able to earn higher profits. So this is how you have to calculate the capitalized value of the average profit. This is capital that should be invested to earn the profits. So this is actual average profit divided by normal rate of return. So goodwill is equal to capitalized value minus net assets. Fine. This is the last illustration of the NCERT book. These are the illustrations I've shown you from NCERT. In this question, they have asked to value the goodwill by all. The goodwill of the firm is to worked out at 3 years purchase of the average profit of the last years. So this is by average profit method. We have to find out the value of the goodwill. Simply average profit into number of years of purchase, that is 3 years. And then capital employed of the firm is 1 lakh and the normal rate of return is 8%. Average profit for the last 5 years are 12,000 and goodwill is to be worked at 3 years purchase of the super profit. In this second, we have to calculate by the goodwill by super profit method. So we have to find out the super profit and then multiply it by number of years of purchase. Fine. And the third is earn an average profit of 30,000 with a capital of 2 lakh. The normal rate of return in the business is 10%. Using the capitalization of super profit method, work out the value of the goodwill of the firm. So in all these three methods, the value of the goodwill has been calculated. Fine. So in this goodwill capitalization of super profit method, we have applied a different formula. Goodwill is equal to super profit into 100 upon normal rate of return. But here we have applied a different formula where the goodwill is to be calculated by super profit. The formula is good super profit into number of years of purchase. So you have to read carefully by which method of super profit the goodwill has been asked to be calculated. Fine. You can try the questions from the textbook. T.S. Grewal, you can try the questions of the goodwill, and in the next chapters you can be asked to calculate the goodwill by any of the methods. So all the methods should be clear to you. So let's give a quick recap of what are the methods of goodwill that we have studied. Fine, we have studied the meaning and nature of goodwill. One thing has to be clear here, goodwill is an intangible asset. And then accounting standard 26 is very important. Only purchased goodwill is to be recorded in the books of accounts. Self-generated goodwill is not going to be recorded. And we are valuing the self-generated goodwill. We are not learning the valuation of purchased goodwill. Fine. So why there is a need for valuation and what are the factors affecting the goodwill? They should also be clear to you. And then 5 methods of valuation. And the method of valuation, as we discussed, it will be mentioned in the partnership deed. So you will be given by which method you have to value the goodwill in the question. One is average profit method. Under this, we have 2 methods. Average profit into number of years of purchased and weighted average into number of years of purchased. Then you should know the meaning of number of years of purchased, and then goodwill by super profit method and capitalization method. For capitalization method, you have to learn all these steps and do practice the questions. Any problem in any of the question, you can just mail it to me on my email ID, reenasethi@lancesconvent.net. Let me know if there is any problem. I have shown you some of the illustrations from the NCERT. Based on that, you can practice all the questions from the textbook that you have. Fine, do practice because these will be applied everywhere in all the types of reconstitution, whether it is admission, retirement, or death. The valuation of goodwill methods will be utilized in each of the chapters. That's all for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with the treatment of reserves and how to prepare revaluation account. We'll be discussing this tomorrow. That's all for today. Have a good day, children.